Hey everybody, welcome to EDU 507 week 6. Going to be another short recording as I still have not managed to kick this lung crud and coughing. So this week, please open the slides and watch this video and listen to this podcast. Um, Here's kind of a little list of some restorative questions. When challenging behavior, what happened? What were you thinking at the time? What have you thought about since? What has affected by what you have done in what way? And what do you think needs to happen to make things right? Those are great questions. I use several of them with my little kiddos. I will mention that the what were you thinking at the time one can be very difficult with really littles, as they may not actually know what they were thinking. And then the ones over on to help those affected. So perpetrators and victims, to take some parlance from my line of work, and just note that the same kiddo can be on either side of these questions at any time during the same day. Great work on the annotated bibliographies. A couple of you included some things like below. Very good work. I will note that in my experience, I did not use annotated bibliographies, and it probably would have been much easier for me if I had. My methodology was printing out every article that I thought I might use and then using color-coded sticky notes. Took up a lot of space. It wasn't the best approach. So you don't need to do an annotated bibliography, but definitely try to find something for organizing the things that you've read that will work for you. Could just be a list with the name of the article and a link to it and some keywords. This week, we have this video. There are several videos in the slide, as well as a podcast link. I'll let you read the rest because I am really struggling not to blow your guys' ears out by coughing. Read kids do well when they can. That is in the course materials. We have 2 discussion board prompts. The first one, if it ever loads, I'm going to give up on it there. Focus for this week is historical trauma. There's some great videos from the University of Minnesota that are just a starting place. There's actually a connection between historical trauma and cellular level change. Healing, not saving, the importance of listening. What are microaggressions? There's a mosquito bite metaphor for you to think about. And a reminder about emotional labor. Go deeper with both your students and yourself. And how does this impact your daily practice with your students? Say in the prison world, it is very much there. So here is the video on microaggressions. And then please work on that assignment 3. That date is not correct. It is due this Saturday, upcoming Saturday at midnight. The purpose is to conduct a critical analysis of a classroom management program or system through a trauma-informed lens. This can be any management system. So in the past, I've mentioned things like PBIS or token economies. A couple of you have emailed me about other ones. As long as you can explain how it is a classroom management program or system, you should be fine. If you're struggling to find its history or when it started, find the earliest article you can find that mentions it and discuss it through that, and discuss the history of what was going on in education at that time. So you may need to do some extra research if you can't find, for example, like the guidebook that was published on how to run this system. They might not all have one. We've discussed this already. That's assignment 4. I want to go back to the discussion boards because they should have loaded. All right, discussion board 1. Provide an argument for why culturally responsive practices are a critical component of trauma-informed practices. Consider our modern text context. And what examples do you think of that describe current historical traumas, and how might a trauma-informed teacher engage these examples both inside and outside of the classroom? Make sure you respond to 2 peers on this one. And then for number 2, this course's title is Trauma-Informed Classroom Teachers. Reflect back on the learning you have completed throughout the course and do the following 2 things. Create and post a graphic or visual that encapsulates your conception of a trauma-informed teacher. Please don't just go grab one from online. At least grab a couple and put them together if that's what you're going to do. And then complete the following sentences within or in addition to your graphic or visual with at least 3 bullet points each. Trauma-informed teachers believe, trauma-informed teachers are, and the most important behaviors of trauma-informed teachers include. This creating a graphic thing will come back later in the program, so definitely give it a shot here in this kind of safe space of a discussion board, as later there will be assignments where you are required to do that. All right. Quick peek at the last assignment. Please note, I cannot give an extension on the week 8 assignment, as there is a very quick turnaround for me to get everything graded. So that one is due Monday of week 8, and that is when it is due. I cannot give extensions on that one. If you have extensions on previous assignments, please get those done as soon as possible. Usually if they're more than a week late, they start to lose points. As we're just getting to where that becomes a burden for me to go back and grade them versus grading them within a week of everybody else's. So for assignment 4, you're going to synthesize everything you've learned about building a trauma-informed classroom. That's a lot. But the situation is, a parent advocacy group has recently been attending school board meetings and loudly protesting the high suspension and expulsion data in your district. The school board has directed the school administration to identify possible alternative approaches to suspensions and expulsions. Your principal knows that you embrace trauma-informed teaching practices and arranges for you to prepare a presentation to the school board describing a trauma-informed approach. I know there are a couple of you who are not currently in a classroom. Just pretend that you are for this one. Your goal is to provide a substantive and persuasive presentation to the school board advocating for trauma-informed approaches in the classroom. This is a slideshow with 15 to 18 slides. It doesn't have to be in PowerPoint. It could be in some other slide type presentation medium. And you need to include a voiceover narration not to exceed 10 minutes. Just pretend that you are actually given time in front of the school board, but you are given 10 minutes and you will be cut off at 10 minutes. Please include 5 or more peer-reviewed sources to support your arguments, and include a reference page on the last slide, and include APA citations throughout. Try to remember not to fill all of your slides with text, as that gets very hard to follow along with. In your presentation, please include the background, pervasiveness, and impact of childhood trauma. Discuss the role and importance of educator mindset, agency, and self-awareness in supporting trauma-impacted students. Include an analysis of current practices and why or how they do not align with trauma-informed principles. So you can remember that this hypothetical school has very high suspension and expulsion rates. So that would be the current practices to discuss. And then a description of effective trauma-informed classroom practices. Address academic, social, cultural practices here. How can those 3 things be wrapped up inside effective trauma-informed classroom practices? And lastly, suggestions for concrete steps the school board can take in supporting current and emerging trauma-informed educational spaces. All right. If you have questions or feedback for me, please let me know. Shoot me an email. And the quick question for this week is another easy one. Who are you cheering for in the Super Bowl? There is a correct answer. Have a great week. I'll respond within 24 hours, and yeah, have a great week. We only have 2 more of these to go.